Hey guys, what's up? It's Jonathan with One Big Impact. So this video is actually going to be about carbs, how to reintroduce them, and basically can you have them on occasion or whatever when you're following like a low carb regimen like keto or Atkins or anything like that. Faye and also Nicole had mentioned, by the way, this is a challenge video. If you're new here, check us out on Facebook. We do periodic challenges and giveaways and stuff like that. Our Facebook group is called Healthy Living for a Healthy Life. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe our channel. And below in the links in the description, there will be a link to our group. So they had discussed something about like peanut butter and apples and stuff like that. So first of all, let me say, carbs are not bad, okay? It's not that carbohydrates are bad. The thing that is a problem is usually a lot of us are never really taught, or we neglect to use the tools that we were taught about a healthy relationship with food. The problem with carbohydrates is not necessarily the carbohydrates. It's the amount in which we are eating the carbohydrates and the inactivity in retrospect to eating carbohydrates. So if I'm eating, for instance, if I eat, pasta 3 times a day, there's really no way for me to burn off that pasta. Not completely 100% effectively, not in the giant quantities that I was used to, okay? I like pasta, I like spaghetti, I like this, I like that. If you're not running a marathon or something like that, or training, 2 hours a day in the gym and looking to compete, you're not going to benefit from that much carbohydrates. It's not necessarily that apples are bad, that fruits are bad, that any of those things are bad. It's the relationship and the understanding in which we use these things. If you think about it, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago or whatever, we were seasonal eaters. When the berries would ripen in spring and the fruit would be bared in spring or fall or whenever the fruits and stuff like that would come, naturally, those things that have natural sugars and carbohydrates and stuff like that that are laden with them were okay because we only had them certain times. There was no way to be able to preserve them. We didn't have bananas at the same time we had apples, and we didn't have apples in the same place we had bananas. You know what I mean? And that's just an example. So we didn't have all of the abilities to go to the grocery store and just buy massive amounts of fruits and carbs and stuff like that. And we were actually pretty well off healthy. The one thing that we were able to produce on a regular basis as closely as possible was going to kill, some animals. So we got our proteins and stuff like that. And that was our way of staying strong. Occasional vegetables and things like that. A good general rule of thumb is if something has, whether it's artificial or natural sugar, you probably should not be eating it each and every single day. That being said, if you're following, and I know specifically Faye, she's following like Atkins, and Nicole, it looks like she's kind of keto because I saw some almonds in her refrigerator or in her little grocery haul the other day. So regardless of which one of those that you're following, you're probably going to be significantly low on your carbohydrates. Now, reintroducing carbohydrates every day would obviously completely blow out of the water what you're doing. And the reason for that is because your glycogen, sugar or carbs or whatever inside your body is going to get burned first. You're never going to get to those fat stores. So unfortunately, when you see somebody in the gym and right before they hit there, they drink a big old soda and have a big old breakfast sandwich or whatever, they're literally going into the gym to work on, probably working off about half of what they just consumed. Now that being said, the best time if you were to incorporate these things would be on occasion. Okay, if you have not made it from induction phase to like phase 4 of Atkins or something like that, in which you are actually reincorporating carbohydrates and you're starting to find out where your maintenance carbs are and stuff like that, then I don't suggest doing it as an everyday thing. Personally, I have started to incorporate carbohydrates on a irregular basis. Now there's a couple things that I do. I went through a really high bulking phase and I kind of bottomed out on my calories and stuff like that. So I was then able to reincorporate carbohydrates. Also, I am very carbohydrate sensitive, okay? I can literally look at a little bit of carbs and gain 10 pounds overnight. If that's you, I don't suggest that you do it on a regular basis. Now, I don't want you to confuse that with if you were to start reincorporating slowly or something like that, because that's not the case. That's not necessarily how that works. Don't panic, don't freak out. My thought and my idea and what I believe you can do if you stay strict. If you can't bounce back the next day, it's very important that you don't dabble in messing around with carbohydrates. It's just like a drug, okay? And I'm not saying carbohydrates are bad like drugs or whatever necessarily, but it can be if you've used them in an unhealthy way. Meaning if you emotionally eat, if you binge eat, because those things are not normal. I know that sounds crazy to a lot of us, but those things are not normal behavior. Somebody that has a healthy weight and exercises and never had a weight problem, it's not that they don't do those things, but a majority of people that don't have the issues that we have, or maybe you have, or whoever has it, usually have a good, healthy relationship with food, okay? If you don't, be very careful about doing this. I cannot stress enough how dangerous it can be to just eat an apple with some peanut butter and then hope everything works out the next day. It doesn't necessarily work like that, okay? I'll tell you exactly what I do and what I'm currently, and I might have to phase this out, okay? I've probably been looking forward to it a little too much lately. I am continuing to see results, and what I do is I go, and this is goal dependent. If you are following my goal plan, this would work for you. Yours is probably completely different, okay? I'm looking to sustain muscle while dropping body fat percentage, as well as I just came out of a big bulking phase and stuff like that, but I also want to refill my glycogen stores so that I can feel full with my muscles and everything like that, but also still get the effects of losing weight along the process, okay? Not everybody's going to be focusing on what I'm focusing on. What I'm doing is every 7 to 10 days or up to 2 weeks, I will have a 24-hour period in which I can refeed, I call it. Basically, I eat whatever the heck I want, okay? I just eat whatever. It's whatever. But I noticed in the last few times, I'm like, okay, this is a little unhealthy. I was purging. I was eating too much. It was too much quantities and stuff like that. So what I started to do was I thought of a few favorite foods and, treats and different things like that, and healthy, options and stuff. Some are unhealthy, I'll be honest. It's whatever. But what I've started to do is started to way narrow down on my portion. So if I want a certain food, I'll get it, but I'll get a portion of it, I'll cut out a portion of it, and I'll throw the rest of it away so I can get that feeling, that taste, also the benefits and stuff like that, because you have to remember, okay? Your body can only process so much food a day. If you're incorporating something like a refeed day or a cheat day or a carb day or a high carb day or whatever you want to call it, okay? A non-low carb day, then you have to remember your body is used to processing a couple things. Your body is used to processing very low calorie content because you are, as a side effect of being low carb, you're going to be lower calorie. You're going to be 1,1600 calories. I can eat that in one meal at McDonald's. No, I don't eat McDonald's, but I'm just saying, that's literally a Big Mac meal with a shake. So if you go and eat extremely poorly on this day that you incorporate, then you are going to, I recommend a meal, a single meal. Eat whatever you want. I don't care. Just don't go crazy, because if you eat this much food and your stomach's this big, guess what? Everything besides what's this big is going to get stored as fat because your body can't process it. Your body can only process 2 teaspoons of sugar a day. Have you seen how much teaspoons of sugar is in a Coke? It's like 30. I mean, all of that is getting stored as fat. So you have to remember, even though you're going to incorporate these type of things, you have to be very diligent and be very careful about when you do it, about where you're at on your journey, about how often you do it. You can't do it daily. You probably, if I had to suggest a time, my thoughts is if you're on track and you're seeing successful results and your body's moving, then fine. Incorporate one meal once every 2 weeks. That's 94.4% of the time that you're eating right. If you can't bounce back, stop. Stop it immediately. You've got an extremely unhealthy relationship with carbohydrates and you need to move on, knowing that you probably won't be able to incorporate them very often, okay? And that's okay. The other thing that you need to remember is that you need to use this as a tool in order, and I'm not saying reward yourself or anything like that. I'm not saying use it as a reward, because you know rewarding yourself with bad food is just a bad cycle. But you have to understand, if you're the type of person that has trouble staying on track or whatever, use this as a tool in your little healthy toolbox to be able to keep you on track. Now, the reason I say that and what I mean by that is, if I go 2 weeks or a month, pick your refeed days. If it's once a month, if it's once every 2 weeks, or if it's once every 2 months because you don't feel like you're strong enough or anything like that, make sure you write it on the calendar. You schedule birthday parties or girls' night out or whatever it is around that day. It does not change. It is not flexible, okay? You have to have it exactly that day, because here's what happens. If you start changing it, you're like, oh, it's Thursday, it's Wednesday, and then it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Nope, you fell apart. You completely fell apart, okay? So stop doing that. Don't just say, and another thing is, if you're strong enough, on occasion, if you have a random, say you're like a week and a half in, and you say, and this is completely sidetracked from what I just said, and you're a week and a half in and you're like, you know what, I really want that candy bar. I would completely sacrifice my cheat meal for that candy bar. Every once in a while, not every day, not every week, not every 2 weeks, but every once in a great while, do it. Give yourself the option to do something like that. Just know this is a lifestyle and you have to come back. You have to come back. It's gonna suck for 3 days afterwards, okay? It is, sometimes it's murder, okay? You're gonna go through cravings, you're gonna go through down energy. You're almost, those refeed days and those days that you eat bad, you're gonna be like, wow, the taste in my mouth is disgusting. Like, the sugar's too strong, it's just too much. You feel like crap, you're all bloated, you gas and all kinds of stuff. So you're not gonna enjoy it necessarily. But you have to remember that it is not a game. If you have this type of relationship with something like this, don't play with it, okay? Don't play with it. I personally wouldn't suggest going for fruits or anything like that. At first, I would test it. I would test it with a little bit of rice, you know? Something that nobody's gonna eat 50 pounds of rice. You're not craving rice, okay? And if you are, you're just crazy, which is fine. But remember that it's not a game. You could potentially throw away all your results. The next day, for like 3 or 4 days, you're gonna weigh heavier. You're gonna be way heavier than what you were. Make sure on those days you go really low on fat, because you want your body to burn the glycogen and the stuff like that. In addition to that, if you do this, I'm not suggesting anybody does this, okay? I'm not suggesting anybody does this, because I see 95% of people completely fall off and never come back, okay? Most of you guys are here, including myself, because we don't have a good bond with healthy foods, okay? I'm not the guy that can go eat a banana and be fine for the rest of the day. I'll go eat the banana and then I'll eat 5 more bananas and then I'll eat 15 tablespoons of freaking peanut butter and 3 cups of ice cream and blah, 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 blah. It's catastrophic failure, okay? I have to restrict myself so much to where I don't have those things happen. And you may be the same way. But if you do these things, and I don't ever recommend, some people say every 7 days, personally, and nutritionists will tell you that, to balance out your hormones and stuff like that. The people that are recommending that don't understand how hard it is to bounce back. To bounce back in 3 days, you're only going to have a couple days worth of results. You're never going to see enough weight loss results. At minimum, I'd say one meal once every 2 weeks, after you've exhausted all the other efforts, changing your program, changing your diet, changing your meal plan and stuff like that, activating your exercise, doing different exercises, incorporating all kinds of different things, strength training and stuff like that. But if you do it, and when you do it, you need to make sure right before you do it has to be one of your biggest lifting days. Whether it's legs, like lower body, calves, quads, stuff like that, a big lifting day, or like back and biceps, because your back is the biggest, or chest or something like that. But I would say back and legs, okay? Those are probably going to be your biggest days. Don't underestimate. You're like, yeah, I killed it in the gym. I just ate 4,700 donuts. Dude, you're not going to fill up 4,700 donuts. You're not even the size of 4,700 donuts. So don't go crazy when you do stuff like that, okay? You're going to, by doing the carb refeed day after a big workout and towards the evening, if you can, so you don't fall apart for a whole day and then into the next day or whatever, I would lift in the early evening, go have your meal, and then go to bed. But be sure you lift, because, and I'm not saying run or something like that, but just lift, because you deplete your glycogen, all the sugar and everything like that is completely exhausted out of your muscles. Then when you go eat that big carb meal, sucks right into your muscles. Nothing's going to get saved, and now nothing's going to get stored as fat. That being said, don't overeat, because what you overeat, if you're overly full and then you keep filling yourself up, you're like, oh, I gotta get as much down as I can, it's carb day, blah, blah, blah. You're gonna end up gaining more fat, and you're already probably extremely carbohydrate sensitive, especially if you're following a low carbohydrate regimen. I hope this answered some of the questions for you guys, Faye and Nicole. Please be careful and be wary of this. If you are new to this journey, don't even think about it, okay? Just don't. Not right now, okay? You need to build your strength. You need to build your self-discipline. You need to build a foundation. It's like me saying, I'm gonna climb to the top of the pyramid, but the pyramid is gone. The pyramid's not there. And I'm gonna get up there, but there's no way up there. You can't do that. You have to build the foundation so you can climb the steps, and then once you get up there, then you're at the top and the peak of your performance, and then you can start messing around once you've built a healthy relationship with food and understanding more about nutrition and how sugar is involved with your muscle strength and stuff like that. Once you learn more, then you can do more. You know? It's like if I was an iron worker, okay? I'm an iron worker, right? And I want to build, I just started welding today. Next week, I'm going to build a fence for the White House. No, I'm not. I need to have 20 years under my belt before I start playing around with that, because it's going to look like crap. Nobody's going to want to buy that. So please, focus on building your fundamentals before you start exercising the extras. You guys have a beautiful day. Hashtag be stronger than excuses. Be careful. This can be a very, very dangerous situation. Have a good day, and remember to spread love, not hate. Peace.